Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett, and in today's video, we are talking about some tricks designers use to make your home look more expensive. Now be sure you hit that subscribe button and join us here and give this video a like. The first thing designers do to make your home look more expensive is that we know it's not worth competing with the lighting. It's not worth competing with the natural lighting in your home because that's not something that is easy to change. And yeah, there's things I can do to kind of overcome that in a way, but they're very expensive and they don't always work, and they don't work for all day long. Now, some of the things I might consider doing to overcome bad lighting in a home is add more lighting. We might do recessed lighting, we might do some interesting lighting scheme, I might look for a light fixture that has lots of extra lights on it, I might add lamps into that space. That's all a lot of electricity, and you're gonna have to turn all of that on to make the lighting feel natural in this space if the lighting's just not good. So what I'm going to do instead is something that might come as a shock to you. I'm just not gonna compete with it. I'm not gonna fight with bad lighting in a space. I'm just gonna make the space a little bit darker. We're gonna use moodier tones or more saturated colors because they will overcome the fact that the lighting's just not good. Now, when lighting in your home is not good, spaces tend to look gray or green. They tend to have these, kind of a little bit stomach churning colors. They just don't feel fresh and bright and lovely. They feel a little bit more dark and depressing, if you will, because people think that just painting white is going to make your whole life better. Paint the room white, it's going to be brighter and bigger and all of this stuff, and that's just not the case. So in a space that doesn't get good lighting or has very interesting lighting during the day, I am going to use a moodier color or a more saturated one. A moodier color will completely disguise that fact. Okay, it's already dark. The room is dark, we're making it darker. That just works naturally. It's going to be a moodier space during the day, and at night when we turn the lamps on and the lights on, it's going to feel very soft and very all-encompassing, and it's going to be an easy space to relax and enjoy throughout the entire day, regardless of what the natural light looks like. Another thing I'm going to do is use a very vibrant, saturated color. My dining room, for example, I love that room. It's so beautiful, but the lighting is just not great. And without having to completely gut the room and take this drywall off the ceiling and all of the things to add lighting up there, there's nothing I can do. So I painted it a very vibrant blue color. When you're looking at it, it doesn't look that vibrant because the room is dark. It doesn't get great lighting. But if I painted that in a really bright room, it would look neon. That's how you can overcome a dark space, by using more saturated colors or darker colors to overcome the fact that there's just not good lighting. Now, I know it can be hard to determine what you should do in a space and whether it has great lighting or not, or whether a wall needs to come down or something should be opened up. Talk to a designer before you make major changes, because we may just say it's not worth it. We may say absolutely it's totally worth it, or we might say, that just doesn't make any sense. Let's change it, let's pivot and do something else. And you can talk to a designer like me by using the link in the description box down below, or going to intro.co/GarrettLeChic to book a one-on-one design consultation with me, where I can look at your home, look at your space, and I can answer those difficult design questions you may have, or you may not even know that you have. Because remember, a little bit of time with a designer could save you a lot in the long run. Something else that designers use, a trick we use to make your home look more expensive, is we focus on flow. Flow is one of my favorite things in the world. And flow essentially means the way each space moves into another. It can mean the physical movement of people through a space, but it also means the visual movement throughout your home and from space to space. Achieving great flow is actually very easy. We just use reference points, reference colors, materials, the same tone, the same lighting. We do all of that because it just moves naturally from one space to another, from one side of the room to the other. Flow is your best friend. Here's a prime example of flow. My dining room, once again, is this beautiful blue. My sofa on the complete opposite side of the house is the same color. because you can see one another from each space. I want that. I want to have that reference point there. You can do that in your home with a fabric and a paint. You can use the same color from one side of the room to the other. You can also do that with materials. If you're using a stone in your kitchen, for example, you can use that same stone on your fireplace surround. You can find small accessories made out of that same stone. You can actually use some of the remnant of that stone you have left over to have accessories made. That's a great way to create flow. You can do that with wallpaper, with texture, with any material you can think of, even just the detail you're using on your ceiling. The crown molding in here, put it in there. That's great flow. The ceiling medallion in this room, I have a matching one in my dining room. Great flow. Love it. Love that for me. Metal tones and hardware. Another great one. I use brass accents on my light fixture in my foyer, on the drapery hardware in this room, and the drapery hardware in that room. You can mix so many different things together to create flow. It's all about using the same elements from one space to another. Now, the reason that makes your home look more expensive is because it makes each room feel like it's a part of the last room, making them all feel larger. Also, having that same reference point and having a beautiful design in each and every room, it feels natural. It feels like I want to know what's next, what's coming, what more is there. Wow, this is beautiful. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. Oh, I knew it was going to be beautiful, but wow, this is incredible. Just by using the same material from place to place. Also, style of furniture pieces. You can mix different styles together. Mix modern, traditional, contemporary, all of them, mix them all together, but have multiples of the same piece in different rooms. One antique in every room. They all have a reference point back to the other antique in the other room. That flow is incredible to bring into your home. It immediately makes your home feel more designer, feels more curated, and that looks expensive. Something that is always going to make your home look expensive is when it functions properly. And the reason I say that, because function isn't a visual thing that happens, but function actually allows your home to look better, be cleaner, be tidier, look more curated and styled because it works beautifully for you. You don't have the unopened mail packages sitting by the door. You don't have the kids' toys all a mess out on the floor. Having great function means your house will look more expensive. And 90% of function, in my opinion, is all about layout. You have to have a great layout in your home. And I don't mean architecturally. Yes, the walls have to be in a certain place and doorways and all of those things, but we can overcome any of that with a good furniture layout. Now, be sure you check out my furniture layout video all about how to lay out your living rooms. It's a game changer in your home. I'm gonna link it right up here for you and at the end of this video. So be sure you check it out to improve the function of your home. When I look at a client home, when I see that space for the first time, immediately, I know that the biggest issue they have usually is just the furniture layout. It's just the furniture layout, and we can completely improve a home. You can actually have a home that is much smaller with more walls and all of the things like, you know, more full feeling home with the same amount of furniture, but functions better than a much larger home. A lot of times a larger home is just there to compensate for the fact that the layout is not super functional. So we need more space here, more space in hallways, more space there to get around furniture pieces and all of the things. It doesn't always have to be bigger. Bigger does not always equal better, and that's okay. But it's all about the layout and the flow the physical flow you have through the home, where you can get to point A to point B, where you can put things. Are you able to even fit enough storage in your house? That's gonna make your house look expensive when it's well organized. But if you don't have a good layout, you don't have good storage. And I know that for a fact. So be sure you nail that layout. Look at multiple layouts. Look at people that have a similar home to you and see what they did. Also, talk to a designer because we have the answers. First and foremost, the first thing I see when I enter a space, what's the layout? Where's the furniture? Where are all of the pieces? How do we have this? What's the issue in this space? I'm looking at all of these things, I see them because that is 90% of the problem. That is where the issue is. And then, you know, the other 10%, yeah, that's a little furniture piece here. Let's add some storage there. Let's add some color here. We need some texture. These are the drapes you should have and not those. That's all the easy stuff. The difficult thing is nailing the layout and making it perfect so you can actually live in that space and it looks good all of the time. Having a space that's too cluttered or just doesn't have a good layout or doesn't have the correct layout for the furniture you have is not going to work in your favor, is not going to be your friend. So nail the layout and your home will look beautiful, luxurious, and expensive, and it will be easier to live in. Speaking of an easy way to improve your home and your life, I would love to suggest that you hit the subscribe button and join us. Become a part of our GarrettLeChic family. You made it this far in the video. I know you're seeing the great value here, so be sure you take a moment, hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to a content creator like me on the journey to 1 million subscribers. We're not at 100,000 yet, so join, come on, let's get this taken care of. And I would also greatly appreciate if you would help me to defeat YouTube's algorithm and share this video across the internet, because we all know somebody that needs it. So be sure you give this video a like and comment down below and let me know what is one thing you did to your home that changed the game and made it look more expensive and more designer. And bonus points if you say it was a consultation with me, but that's beside the point. A secret, a tip, something I can share with you that I use all of the time that makes homes look more expensive and does it more affordably is to work with what is there, what is existing. And I know that's like groundbreaking, right? To work with what you have, but you don't realize the number of people that fight their houses. They fight everything about their home. And it's not necessary. It doesn't always add up to a space looking more beautiful, more luxurious, more expensive. It's not necessary. Honestly, there's like 99% of the time when I'm never gonna tell somebody to take down a wall. I don't think you need to. I would rather have more walls in a home because that gives me more opportunities for artwork, more opportunities for storage, more opportunities for beautiful trim work. That always makes a home look luxurious, is great trim. The reason I say it is easier to work with what you have isn't always that what you have is perfect. Sometimes it does make sense to do a big renovation and move things around and everything, but if we can keep some of the core aspects in place and where they are, that means that we don't have to spend a lot of money changing that because it's already there. It's already where it needs to be. We can then put that budget somewhere else. We could do something better with it. I might say to a client, make that doorway 2 to 3 feet wider instead of taking down the whole wall, because then we can put that budget into better floors. We can put that budget into the marble countertops. We can put that budget into a higher end cabinetry. Those are the sorts of things I'm always looking at and thinking about. Do we need to change the layout of that bathroom? Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. Maybe it's actually good as it is, and then that means not spending the money on that will allow us to get better tile and do more interesting things. What is existing, what's in place, especially when it comes to a renovation, that's where things get really expensive because you just don't know what you're gonna find. When you open up that can of worms, is the plumbing in place? Is the electrical in place? Are we gonna have to move all of these things all over the place? So what can I work with that's already existing? How can I improve on that and then go from there? And the same thing kind of happens with furniture pieces and decor. I might say, what's staying, what's going? How big of a renovation are we doing here? Are we gutting everything out? Are we getting rid of the kitchen? Or are we just gonna upgrade what's already here? Because that means that I can then advise you on other things so that we make it make sense. But sometimes I'll always present the option that will get you exactly what you want, even if it's maybe a little further out of your budget than you think. I have clients I'm working with on a kitchen, great people, love working with them, but they were told by a lot of people that what they wanted to do, moving their cooktop, was not possible. Okay, they just had people come in and say, no, we'd have to gut the ceiling, we'd have to rip this open, we have to do all of this stuff. I took one look at it and said, okay, well, you could box in a soffit above the cabinetry, run the vent line there, and you're good to go. Nobody had ever said that to them because everybody was thinking they wanted to do this mini project and weren't willing to take something big on, weren't willing to change the aesthetics of the kitchen to do that. Sometimes it makes sense to do a bigger job to get exactly what you want, but other times you just need a creative solution to overcome whatever the issue is. Those sorts of creative solutions are what is going to make your home look more expensive, more luxurious, save you money, but get you a better end-all design. Something else designers use to make your home look expensive, more expensive and luxurious, is we use the context in which we're designing. We use the context in which we're designing. And what do I mean by that? Because there are plenty of people who will tell you something is dated. This is out, that's this is no good, you gotta get rid of that, you gotta rip it up. No, no. I don't ever walk into a space with preconceived notions. I may do a little research in advance, but I'm not gonna just say, that's the wrong thing, get it out of here. What are we doing? What style was that done in? How do we make it work and how do we overcome that? Because sometimes you just run into those things, you run into those issues. Sometimes I can't just demolish a house and rebuild it. I have to work within the existing plan. But what am I going to do to overcome that? Sometimes the client just says, you know what, I don't have the budget to repaint. I need to get a new sofa, but I can't repaint and I don't love this color, so what can I do about it? How do we make that color feel more modern, make it feel more interesting? How do we take something that is considered dated, but make it feel more relevant and up to date? That is what designers do, and doing that allows us to make your home look beautiful as is without having to go through some massive gut renovation. We're not building a new house here. Sometimes I am, okay? Sometimes I work with clients who are building a new house and we look at floor plans in advance so we can overcome obstacles. But other times it's about, hey, that looks dated. We don't have the budget to replace it. What can we add to make it feel more relevant or make more sense? And that's how we nail a design. Another example, one of my clients, fabulous, love her so much. She has this incredible oven. It's expensive though. And she doesn't want to spend the money to replace it. And I told her not to. I told her if she was going to give it to me, okay? Because it's a beautiful piece. It's just not exactly what her style is. So we're taking the color of this oven and pulling it into the rest of the space. We're looking for stone countertops that are going to work with this. We're looking to say, how do we warm up that side of the room? Maybe we can reface those cabinets and make them wood instead of gut everything out or redo it or spend all of this money replacing that. Well, we really don't need to because it's a good piece. It works great. Shouldn't even use it. That's a good way to work. When you're looking at the context of the space and the style you're working with and what's existing, you look at all of the pieces and say, how do we make this make sense? How do we add it all up and make something feel elevated? Look at what you have and look at what other people have done with it, and then figure out how to overcome that or overcompensate for that so it kind of blends into the background. So it's not the first thing we see, or it's something that we can make an accent point and we can draw from there to do something interesting with. All of that takes creativity. All of that takes imagination. All of that takes knowledge about design and interiors. And once again, a designer may be the person that you can go to with your problem, the design problem you have in your house, the thing you just don't like, to say, what can I do about this? We're looking at every aspect and how we're fixing things, how we're changing things. I had another client who was doing a kitchen too, and I said, you know, we can do all of these changes. Are you redoing the floor? Because unless that floor runs under that cabinetry, it's gonna be all messed up too. Are you willing to take on a project that large? Those are the things you need somebody looking out for and somebody who can tell you exactly what it's going to take to achieve your design. It's all about having all of the information and working within the context of the space. Now be sure you check out that video all about living room layouts right here like I told you it would be. And be sure you check this one out all about how to decorate your living room like a designer by clicking on the video, and I will see you over there. Oh, and by the way, thanks for watching.